All right, little video on understanding the 4x1 relay. Purpose here is make sure that the message is consistent, it's clear, and when we do our training, that we do it with purpose and intent. All right, 4x1, make sure we're all good. There's gonna be 4 members on the team. Each one has a designed and unique role, okay? All right, we're gonna have a starter and some exchanges we're gonna talk about next, okay? Our first leg on the relay, all right, if you're comfortable with blocks, you're gonna use the blocks, okay? They're gonna be here, all right? Our first exchange, our second leg is going to start over here where the 300 hurdles begin. Our next leg is going to be the 200 start. It is our third leg, the second exchange. And then our anchor leg, our fourth leg, the third exchange is at the 100-meter start line, okay? 3 different zones. Again, there's 1, 2, and 3. We have our starter. Each zone is 30 meters, okay? All right, roles with each leg is pretty important here. How we like to do it is the following. The first leg over here is going to start with the baton in their right hand, okay? As they get through to the first exchange, okay, they are going to hand off that baton from their right hand. They are going to give that baton to that individual. In their left hand, they're not going to look back, okay? Once they receive that baton, they're going to continue to hold it in their left hand, run that straight away, all right? The next exchange, the third leg, is going to then throw back their right hand, okay? Keep it in their right hand, and from their right hand, they're going to run that turn into our anchor leg, who is going to receive it in their left hand, okay? Things we want to make sure we're good on is there is a pattern. We start with our right hand, it then goes to the left, to the right, and the left. At no point are we going to switch hands with our 4x1 relay, okay? Again, if the first leg does their role correctly, does their job correctly, they're going to always start with that right hand, and it's going to go right to left, right to left, okay? All right? We're all good there. All right? Now, getting our steps is probably our most challenging step in our process here, okay? All right? It is going to be a little bit of a craft, of an art, once we get it down pat. So here we go. So when we do this, we are going to have to count our steps. The starting point is 18 to 22 steps. A step is one of your feet. It's a foot length, okay? All right, so everybody's a little bit different on that, okay? We're going to start with a range between 18 and 22 steps, okay? You can start right in the middle, smack there, with 20, that is fine, okay? All right? When we count, we are going to count starting at the end of the exchange zone, okay? When we look at our track, okay, the exchange zones are the big triangles, okay? All right, so when this individual starts, baton in the right hand again, all right, this diagram does not have the triangles. The triangles are going to be roughly here, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to find that triangle, okay? And if I'm going to run in this direction onto the track, okay, to get my steps, I'm going to go to the back of that zone where that triangle is, all right? It makes that straight line, and I'm going to count, again, 18 to 22 steps, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, all the way starting at, maybe you want to start at 20, okay? All right? Again, counting, and we're going away from the exchange, okay? So we're starting here, and we're counting this direction. We're starting here, we are counting this direction. We're starting here, we're counting this direction, okay? First leg has no responsibility with that at all, okay? What we are going to do is we want to make a zone here, okay? All right, how we do our 4x1 is with that zone. So on meet day, we are going to have pieces of tape. For practice, we can use our shoes for that, all right? We can grab some tennis balls for that, okay? We don't need tape because it's just a waste of material, okay? All right, that zone is going to be 2 to 3 of your feet, okay? Now, to make sure we are good, the reason why we do that, okay, is because the incoming runner is not always going to be consistent if we just put one mark, okay? So we like to make a window, we like to make a zone, so when their foot gets placed into that zone, that is then your cue to start running, okay? So when we do that, okay, once I have my steps coming back, I put down my two marks, my two shoes or whatever I have to mark that zone, okay? And I'm going to be running, all right? If we just kind of use the example, we are running, we're gonna practice the first exchange here, all right? This individual will have the baton in their right. That means I'm gonna receive it in my left hand, okay? All right? A little bit more advanced, if I'm going to receive it in my left hand, that means within my lane, I'm going to own the outside half of the lane, okay? All right? Ideally, we want to keep that baton in the middle of our lane because the baton is all that matters, okay? I always describe, you mean absolutely nothing to me in the relay. The baton is the runner. It is the athlete. That's all I care about, okay? Your role is to get the baton around the track. You mean absolutely nothing at that point, okay? All right, so if I'm going to receive it in my left hand, I'm going to own the outside of that lane, okay? I counted my 18 to 22 steps, whatever that range is, put down my marks, okay? Now I am in a ready position, okay? As soon as I look back, that individual puts their feet into that zone that I have created, and I am going to just take off, okay? As I take off, once that individual gets close enough that they feel comfortable, that they can yell out stick, a command, then I just throw my hand back, okay? What I need to do is make sure I have a good, clear target, okay? Easiest thing is the hinge is in your elbow, okay? So we throw that hand back, making the best that we can a flat mark, okay? Once that flat mark is there, that individual can then push that baton in. Again, it'll be with their right hand, actually. So they push that in. Once I make that contact here, I just grab it and I just go. Okay, all right, and then that baton will continue to go. That process is going to happen in the first, the second, and the third exchange. There's no change there at all. The process here is exactly the same. The only thing that is going to change, okay, is this second exchange, okay? That second exchange, that individual is going to own the inside of the lane because they are throwing their right hand back. They're pushing that right hand back, okay? Again, hinge on the elbow, okay? Flat surface coming in is our best bet. Makes a good, clear target for the runner who is handing off that baton, okay? All right? Now, when we train, when we practice, okay, we do have to be mindful, are we working on the first, the second, or the third exchange? In training purposes, what we can do to make sure that we are more effective, more efficient in our transition and in our practice time is we can do the first and the third exchange at the same time. Okay, we can find the same location. All right, so we're either training here or we're training here because the track is in symmetry. We can train the same way. Okay, the second exchange, okay, here we want to practice at that location. Okay, all right. Now, what we can do, okay, is switch up how we are doing this, okay? So this first and second can always go, okay? All right, as those two individuals are going, okay, we can also practice these two individuals at the same time, okay? Since we have 4 athletes, okay? We can make this competitive, make it healthy competition, okay? We can go in lanes 5 and 6, okay? And we can do the first and second runner, and then we can do the third and the fourth runner using lanes right next to each other, okay? All right, the idea there is who can get that baton to that next individual faster and more effective, more efficient, okay? All right, then once we isolate that first runner to second runner, the third to fourth runner, okay, if we locate here or here, again, that does not matter, okay? Once we feel comfortable there, then we would like to go down to that 200-meter start line and train there, working on that second to third runner at the 200, okay? If we want to, all right, to make sure that we are better athletes for ourselves, okay, the first runner and the fourth runner, the anchor runner, they can also train and do that exchange too, just to get extra reps with one another, okay? Instead of just sitting around doing nothing, let's be mindful, let's make ourselves better athletes and train that zone, okay? So if something happens where we need to switch a relay, okay, all right, that means this runner is not always just receiving or giving the stick, okay? They're working on receiving it as well. Makes us more athletic, more versatile athletes, okay? Now, I believe we should be good, okay? If you start in this position with 18 to 22 steps as your zone and kind of fluctuate, okay, we should be good, all right? Make sure also that the triangle on this side, triangle on this side, you have to get that stick within that 30-meter zone. If you're beyond that zone, we have now disqualified, we have DQ'd, okay? Got to make sure that we're good there, okay? So ideally, we want to at first just stay in the middle of the zone the best that we can, all right? Once we get more comfortable, then we will make the adjustments if we want the sticks handed earlier, handed later, depending on the athletes who's receiving and giving it there, okay? All right? Start here if you are in this zone, and let's say the individual coming in, if they are coming in hot too fast for you, okay, then we need to push those steps back, okay? Maybe we started at that 18, okay, and they're catching you really fast, okay? Then we need to move those steps back, okay? Adjustments we can do, start with a foot, start with 2 feet. It depends on how hot, how fast they are coming in for you. If you are getting it really late into the zone or missing the zone, then we need to move your steps in, okay? This is where the craft and the art happens, okay? You need to know the two pairings of you and your teammate, okay? Or the two athletes, however you want to say that, all right? You need to make those adjustments, okay? Again, if they're coming in too hot, okay, too fast, that's not what you're desiring, we need to push those steps back, okay? If you're late in the zone and you don't want that, okay, we need to move those steps in, okay? All right? Hopefully all of that made sense, okay? All right? That should kind of break down how in the world do we do a 4x1 with our zones, okay? Kind of the locations of everything, okay? How to set that window, okay? Instead of a single mark, we set that window, that zone for ourselves, okay? Again, 2 to 3 steps in between so we have a zone for us, okay? This individual, all right, they are going to get the baton in their left hand, so they're going to own the outside of that lane, pushing that hand back. The elbow is that hinge. Push back, push back, push back. Once you feel it, you just go, okay? The individual on that second exchange, okay, they're going to own the inside of that lane. Right hand goes back and pushes back, pushes back, pushes back. Okay? All right? Hopefully that helps. Here we go.